Points of view. Were you able to look at your story yesterday, fourth grader, in your own reading book? Were you able to figure out what point of view was your story written from? If you were reading a fiction story, there's a good chance that story was written from a first-person point of view or a third-person point of view. Did anyone have a second-person point of view that they read yesterday? I would be very interested in hearing the title of that. Point of view, again, is the point of view that tells us who is telling the story. Yesterday, we started reading more of Why the Sea is Salty, and we realized that in that story, the main character, the boy, is not the person telling the story. It's actually a narrator. So Why the Sea is Salty is told from a third-person point of view. I want you to think today, fourth graders, as we get to know more about this character and who he is, how would this story be different if instead of a narrator telling the story, he was telling the story? At some point, you might have this slide pop up on your daily work. It's one with a Brain Pop Junior video. It's a story, or it's a video that gives you another insight or another bit of information about point of view. Just watch it in your spare time. It's just another way that we can look at this topic and make sure that you understand it. So yesterday I showed you this chart. I showed you over here how in this story, the third person is actually two sentences that we pulled right out of the text. The boy put his basket of salt in his father's small boat. I put my basket of salt in my father's small boat. This is how I changed the text over here. Do you hear something different when I changed the words the boy to I? What about this one down here? The boy's father did not like the way they laughed at his son. Again, this is directly from page 23, but I changed it. I don't think my father liked the way they laughed at me. I hear something different when I hear the boy telling the story. Yes, they changed the words I changed the word the boy and the boy's father to I, but it changes the way we hear the story because we hear more of the thoughts of what's going on with that character. Let's see if we can figure out, as we read today, more information about our character. Like a good reader, I'm going to reread the pages I was at the day before just to remind my brain and myself where I was at. The giant liked the idea of people coming more often to his island. A big smile spread across his face. They would bring food, and he would have more to eat. Tell me what to do, he said eagerly. Well, began the boy, as soon as we have used up the salt we have in our baskets, we'll light a fire. The smoke will be a sign for you that we're ready. The giant listened carefully as the boy explained how they could make a bridge. The boy's father waited patiently in his boat. He was glad the giant was interested in his son's idea. The other villagers were strangely silent. As they got ready to sail home, perhaps the boy was onto something with his bridge idea, they thought. They wished they hadn't laughed at him. Let's focus on the giant just for a second here, fourth grade friends. What does he get out of this deal? What does he gain by doing this for the villagers? Chapter 6, The Bridge. As soon as the villagers had used up all the salt they had collected, the boy and his father lit a fire. The flames leapt higher and higher as the wood burned, and a trail of smoke rose into the air. The puffs of smoke told the giant that the villagers had no more salt. Then the boy got a long bamboo stick and a bamboo ladder and looked out to the sea. He shaded his eyes with his hand as he searched the horizon. At first the boy saw nothing, but the giant had seen the villagers' smoke signals. He stretched his long legs across the sea, his toes pointed into the sky like big fat button mushrooms. The boy grinned as he saw the giant's feet. It was such a strange sight. The boy waited until the giant's feet had passed over his head. Then he reached up and tapped one of the giant's feet with the bamboo stick to let him know that he could put his feet down. Slowly the giant lowered his feet until his heels touched the ground. Quickly the boy put the bamboo ladder against one of the giant's legs and climbed onto it. He jumped up and down, waving excitedly. "It worked," he shouted. "We made a bridge." He hoped the giant could see him. He knew he would feel him jumping up and down. Though I'm so small, I probably feel like a grasshopper hopping on his legs, he thought. He looked down at the villagers, who had come out of the jungle and gathered below. The giant's legs made make a good bridge. Now we can get salt. Whatever the weather, he shouted. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's go. The villagers ran to get their bamboo baskets to put salt in. Suddenly, the boy remembered they needed to take food for the giant. He had seen how disappointed he was the last time when they had come with none. We must take plenty of food for the giant to thank him for his salt, said the boy. Does anyone have any boiled rice and prawns? I do, said a villager. She ran off to get the tub for the giant. Any dried fish? Asked the boy. We do, said some fishermen. Then, one by one, the villagers climbed up the ladder and followed the boy and his father along the giant's legs across the sea. So let's pause there for a second as well. What do we learn about the boy when he stops the villagers from getting salt and says that they have to give the giant food first? What do we learn about the boy and how he cares for the giant? How would this book have been different if instead of being told from the point of view of a narrator, it was told solely from the point of view of the boy? Could we have learned more about him? Could we have learned more about what he thought? Today, fourth grade friends, what I want you to do is I want you to look into your book. You're going to get a slide or a page like this. I want to know the title of your book. Your teachers need to know what books you're reading by yourself at home. And I want to know what is the point of view or what point of view is your story told from? How do you know it's told from that point of view? Okay?